Do you hear the clock ticking? Do you know what time is it? Yes, exactly. It's English Hour. Welcome to your favorite classroom brought to you by 3D TV, where there is fun and learning with Ma'am Christine. Join me as we explore the wonders of English. Before we start off our new lesson, make sure that you have your self-learning modules with you, as well as a pen and a paper. Do you have them right now? Great! In the last video, we studied about correct context clues. Context clues are hints found within a sentence, paragraph, or passage that a reader can use to understand the meanings of new or unfamiliar words. Now, can you tell which of the following sentences show strategies for using context clues in reading? Write a check mark if it is and a cross mark if it's not. I am giving you 5 seconds to answer each question. Are you ready, grade 7 learners? Great! Let us start with item number 1. Break down the different parts of a word: base word, word stem or root word, prefixes, and suffixes to figure out what it means. The answer is a check mark. Number 2. Look for a definition or an explanation within the sentence. The answer is a check mark. Number 3. Words next to the unknown word can be a clue that there is a synonym. The answer is a check mark. Number 4. Opposite information about the unknown word can be offset by words and phrases such as unlike, as opposed to, different from. The answer is a check mark. Number 5. Selective reading. The correct answer is a cross mark. Number 6. Do not find the word included in a series of related words that give an idea of the word's meaning. The correct answer is a cross mark. Number 7. It's not important to look at the word itself to find the meaning. The correct answer is a cross mark. Number 8. Comparisons of the word help to determine what it means. The answer is a check mark. Number 9. Look for the grammatical structure of appositives, which can provide a definition, synonym, or example. The answer is a check mark. For the last number, number 10, providing examples of the unknown word can give readers a clue to meaning. The answer is
a check mark.
Very good, class! Looks like you really learned a lot from our lesson on context clues. At this point, we shall proceed with our next lesson. But before that, let us first have a crossword game. Are you ready? This is Name It to Learn It. Have you ever played a crossword puzzle before? That's great! In this game, I will either define or use in context the missing words that you had to guess. Reminder, you only have 5 seconds to answer each question. Alright, it's time to play Name It to Learn It.
Number 1. It is the act of giving, receiving, and sharing information. This process also allows the expression of one's feelings and emotions. You are right! The answer is communication. Number 2. Blank is ever present in society because people have different and sometimes opposing opinions, principles, and interests. The answer is conflict. Number 3. It can be defined as pieces of writing that are valued as works of art, especially novels, plays, and poems. You are right! The answer is literature. Number 4. It is the sum total of the learned behavior of a group of people that are generally considered to be the tradition of that people and are transmitted from generation to generation. The correct answer is culture. For numbers 5 and 6, if there is blank between people, they are friendly towards each other and trust each other, which results in harmony and peace. You are right! The answer is mutual understanding. Number 7. Resorting to blank communication allows two conflicting parties to talk things out without hurting each other emotionally and physically. The missing word is nonviolent. For the last number, number 8. Every group of people has its own blank culture, that is, its own way of thinking, values, beliefs, and mindsets. The correct answer for the last number is unique.
Who among you got all the correct answers? Very good! Now, you may be wondering about the relevance of this set of words in our lesson for today. It is important for you to be familiar with this set of words because we will be encountering them as we go through our module entitled Discovering Literature as a Tool to Assert One's Identity and to Better Understand Other People. At the end of this learning module, you will be able to identify unique Filipino customs and discover peaceful ways in solving conflicts.
As soon as you finish working on the activities in this module, you are expected to determine the truthfulness and accuracy of the material viewed. Discover the conflicts presented in literary selections and the need to resolve those conflicts in nonviolent ways. And lastly, discover literature as a tool to assert one's unique identity and to better understand other people.
Now, I want you to open your modules on page 5 to refer to this passage. Have you seen it? Great! As stated in the direction, you must underline the words or phrases that showcase the unique Filipino customs. Come on, let's read it together.
Tony grew up in America for 12 years. Although raised in the States, his Filipino mother made sure that he is accustomed to Filipino culture. Tony knows how to say po and opo. He can also speak some Tagalog. His mother taught him. For Christmas, his mother wanted to spend the holiday in her hometown in the Philippines. Tony was so excited and insisted that he would go shop for pasalubong with his mother and father. When he remembered that he has younger cousins, he decided to give some of his clothes and shoes to his cousins. After sorting out which ones to give away, he handed it to his mother to put in a balikbayan box. When Tony's family arrived in the Philippines, they were welcomed by his grandparents at the airport. He remembered how to greet Filipino elders with respect by pagmamano. When they arrived home, his cousins were so excited to meet him. He also knew that older cousins should be called ate and kuya instead of their first names. Later that night, everyone in the house was busy preparing for Noche Buena. Tony was so surprised to see so many foods that they didn't have in America, like lechon and buko salad. But among many others, the highlight of the trip for Tony is witnessing the gift-giving culture of Filipinos on Christmas Day. Presents are not in the box under the tree. Children visit houses saying, "Namamas ko po," with their pockets full of red envelopes called angpao.
Let us go back to each paragraph to see if you got the correct answers. In the first paragraph, what words or phrases did you underline?
You are correct!
Po and opo are used by Filipinos to show respect to one another. How about in the next paragraph? What are the Filipino customs mentioned in the second paragraph?
Pasalubong. That is correct. Pasalubong is a gift or souvenir given to a friend or relative by a person who has returned from a trip or arrived for a visit.
And I am sure you all love pasalubongs, don't you? Aside from that, were you able to note another Filipino custom in the same paragraph?
Very good! Giving some of his clothes and shoes to his cousins, or simply hand-me-downs.
Have you experienced getting hand-me-downs? Maybe a toy, gadget, or even a book. They're great, right? How about in the third paragraph?
If you underline pagmamano and ate and kuya, then you are correct. Pagmamano and the use of ate and kuya are Filipino customs that also show respect, just like po and opo.
Do you see now how much the Filipino culture values respect? Okay. In the last paragraph, what are the words or phrases did you underline?
Nice! Lechon and buko salad? Mmm, yummy! These two make our Noche Buena tables more special, right? If you also underlined the phrases namamas ko po and pockets full of red envelopes or ang pao, then you're also correct.
Good job, grade 7 learners! Looks like you're really familiar with the Filipino culture. But wait! There's more!
Introducing the conflict field sheet. Your task is to encircle one of the given emotions and answer the succeeding questions that follow.
A gentle reminder for everyone to please answer this activity with honesty. Are you ready, class? But before you work on your answers, let me first share my version of this conflict field sheet so that you will have an idea on how to do it correctly. Listen carefully because after this, I am giving you 2 minutes to work on your answers.
How do I express my emotion? I express my anger by frowning and sometimes through words. How do I want this emotion to end? I want my anger to end by talking to the person I'm angry at. Do I need to apologize? Yes, because I might have said unpleasant words that might have hurt that person. What are my realizations? I shouldn't let my emotions get the best of me because it might cause more problems or misunderstandings. Your timer starts now!
Alright, at this point, I would like to hear from you. Can you share your answers with us? Very good, class! It seems like you really enjoyed working on this task. With that, I am sure that we are ready to move on with our new lesson for today. In order for you to understand the entire topic, we must first discuss the different ideas and concepts that make up our lessons for today.
First, we have literature. Literature is a term used to describe written and sometimes spoken material, derived from the Latin word literature meaning writing formed with letters, literature most commonly refers to works of the creative imagination, including poetry, drama, fiction, nonfiction, and in some instances, journalism and song. It can also be lived through different varieties of media: audio, audiovisual, oral, and so on. Literature should portray different and real visions to the human life, whether it is positive or negative, because it implies a balanced and a viable representation of human life realities and existence. It is an expression of culture because it conveys human knowledge, beliefs, and behaviors. Identity, on the other hand, is a state of mind in which someone recognizes or identifies their character traits that leads to finding out who they are and what they do, and not that of someone else. In other words, it's basically who you are and what you define yourself as being. The theme of identity is often expressed in books and novels, or basically any other piece of literature, so that the reader can intrigue themselves and relate to the characters and their emotions.
You may be wondering, how does literature help a person gain a sense of identity?
Literature is seen as a reflection of culture and society, portraying people's ideas and dreams set in certain time and space frameworks in the most creative and imaginary way. It both depicts and inspires social changes and is often treated as a credible source of cultural representation.
From this, we already know that through literature, we can establish a strong sense of identity as well as showcase the uniqueness of our culture.
Literature and culture are deeply interrelated and both have a strong relationship with each other. Because during years and from the oldest of time, literature embodied culture. Literature stands as a voice that expresses values and beliefs and shows how people live as individuals or as a group.
And those are the concepts that we need to learn in Lesson 1. Have you learned something? Very good, class! Now, before we move on with our next lesson, I want you to recall your answers in the conflict field sheet. Can you remember them? Alright! Based on your answers, do you always resort to nonviolent ways when it comes to expressing strong emotions? Do you think that resorting to nonviolent ways helps you resolve a conflict or a misunderstanding? In Lesson 2, we are going to talk about discovering nonviolent ways in resolving conflict.
Conflict is a state of opposition, disagreement, or incompatibility between two or more people or groups of people, which is sometimes characterized by physical violence. Conflict can be experienced in various places such as home, school, workplace, communities, states, countries, etc. Conflict is a part of life and we cannot avoid it. We have different viewpoints on issues and ideas. Our ideas will differ with other people's viewpoints, and this may result in conflict. In a larger context, if we look at what is happening around the world today, we will find out that the majority of conflict occurs as a result of clash of interests or opposing positions on issues. Conflict is often associated with violence. Violence is an ill wind that blows nobody any good. Violence should not be used as a way to resolve conflict. It is a known fact that using violence will not yield a good result.
If conflict is an inevitable part of human societies, how can we resolve it? The best way to address and resolve conflicts is through nonviolent communication.
Nonviolent communication makes us feel responsible for our actions. When we express our needs clearly, we avoid projecting our feelings onto others. When we discuss opposing views on any issue, we communicate in a peaceful manner, focus on the issue, and avoid any personal attack. We listen to the other side with sincerity and voice our opinion if we disagree.
Communicating with the person or group that you have a conflict with is a great step in establishing peace and harmony. But it shouldn't stop there. What you do after you talk with them is important. There is a need to forgive that person and let go of the grudges that you are holding against them.
Forgiveness is the mental, emotional, or spiritual process of ceasing to feel resentment or anger toward another person for a perceived offense, difference, or mistake, or ceasing to demand punishment or restitution. After a proper agreement has been reached, it is important to forgive one another.
And that wraps up our lesson for today. Did you have fun while learning? Very good! But wait, the fun and learning doesn't stop there. It's now time to have some activities that will make our lesson more interesting and exciting. Get your pens and paper ready, ears and eyes steady. Let's begin!
For you to be able to answer our first activity, let us first read an article entitled 4 Months of Christmas in the Philippines. Filipinos love an excuse to party, and Christmas is the biggest, longest party of all. In the Philippines, they start celebrating 3 months early, giving them the longest Christmas season in the world. It starts as soon as the Burr months do: September, October, November, and December. So even as early as September, get ready to say Maligayang Pasko or Merry Christmas, and keep that good cheer in your heart for as long as you can. Philippine Christmas, the Bear months. Christmas is known as Pasko in the Philippines. A lot of its traditions, like the Christmas tree or Santa Claus, came to the country from North America. Even though Christmas usually means snow and cold weather, the Philippines is on the equator, which means it never snows. There's no winter season, and it only gets a little cooler as months go on. Christmas carolers start coming around singing outside homes around November and December, and it's a good time to be generous with your gifts and donations. They even start selling Christmas decors in the stores. Star lanterns, trees, and light shows. The parol is a Filipino star lantern that can either be made of wood and paper or metal and a shell called capis. These lanterns light up the dark with beautiful colors and patterns and are a staple in Filipino holidays. The Christmas tree is definitely a familiar tradition, though in many houses they go up as early as September or October. They appear both in homes and out in offices and hotel lobbies, malls having the biggest ones of all. The cities became lit up with Christmas lights all over. Traditionally, you could visit a mall every weekend during the Christmas season and see unbelievable fireworks and light shows counting down the days to December. With COVID, everyone's gonna have to celebrate responsibly by social distancing and wearing masks. But you don't need to be packed in to drive by the awesome lights or the fireworks bursting above the city. Midnight presents. Noche Buena is the big Christmas Eve party where a huge feast is served right after most people come home from midnight mass. This year might just be a small gathering and virtual mass with social distancing and mask wearing. You get to stay up really late in the evening, eat lots of amazing food, and open all the gifts you saw waiting for you under the tree for months. Sometimes, the only reason kids even go to bed is to see if Santa leaves them anything else to open come Christmas morning. Filipino feasting. Filipino food is already amazing on its own, but Filipino Christmas food is a whole other beast. Some Filipino Christmas foods include sweet Filipino spaghetti, the bright orange noodles of pancit malabon, and the shocking but delicious crispy-skinned lechon, or suckling pig, which is usually the centerpiece of the celebrations. There are many awesome desserts, some of which you can even buy on the street. Sapin-sapin is a layered glutinous or sticky cake colored white, yellow, and purple. Bibingka is a sweet glutinous rice cake you cook in a clay pot and cover in shredded coconut and sugar. And biko is a huge and sticky brown sugar rice cake. Celebrating during the hard times. It has been a hard year for everyone, with COVID leaving many people sick or out of work in the Philippines. The country also gets a lot of typhoons, same as a hurricane, but it's in the Northwest Pacific, and they sometimes cause a lot of flooding and damage during the holidays. Still, people find these challenges make celebrating Christmas this year especially important, as the season's focus is being thankful, finding hope, spreading love, and being together with family. For activity number 1, read each statement carefully. Put a check mark on the space provided if the statement is true based on the article that you have read, and a cross mark if not. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. Let's begin! A lot of our Christmas traditions here in the Philippines, like the Christmas tree or Santa Claus, came to the country from North America. Number 2. The Philippines is on the equator, which means it never snows. There's no winter season, and it only gets a little cooler as the months go on. Number 3. Christmas carolers start coming around singing outside homes around October to December. Number 4. The Christmas tree is definitely a familiar tradition, though in many houses they go up as early as September or October. For number 5, traditionally, you could visit a mall every day during the Christmas season and see unbelievable fireworks and light shows counting down the days to December. Number 6. Noche Buena is a big Christmas Eve party where a huge feast is served right after most people come home from midnight mass. Number 7. Sometimes, the only reason kids even go to bed is to see if their parents leave them anything else to open come Christmas morning. Number 8. Filipino food is already amazing on its own, but Filipino Christmas food is a whole other beast. Number 9. Biko is a sweet, glutinous rice cake you cook in a clay pot and cover in shredded coconut and sugar. For the last number, number 10. The season's focus is being thankful, finding hope, spreading love, and being together with family. Let us check your work. The answer in number 1 is a check mark because it is true that a lot of our Christmas traditions originated from North America. For the second number, if you wrote a check mark, then you are correct because the statement is consistent with the information in the article. For the next item, number 3, the answer is a cross mark because according to the article, Christmas carolers start coming around from November to December. In number 4, the answer is a check mark. Filipinos love celebrating Christmas, which is why as early as September, they are already setting up their Christmas trees. For number 5, the correct answer is a cross mark because based on the article, people could only visit malls every weekend to see fireworks display and light shows. The answer in number 6 is a check mark because it is true that Noche Buena is a huge feast that takes place after people come home from the Mass on Christmas Eve. For number 7, the statement is inaccurate because according to the article, children are expecting gifts from Santa Claus, not their parents, which is why they are excited to go to bed. The statement in number 8 is true, so the answer is a check mark. Filipino food is indeed more special and grand when it's Christmas. For number 9, if you wrote a cross mark, then you are correct. Bibingka is the one being described in this item. Biko, on the other hand, is a huge and sticky brown sugar rice cake. For the last number, the answer is a check mark because it is true that Christmas is all about being thankful, finding hope, spreading love, and being together with family. For activity number 2, read the following statements carefully. Identify the words or group of words that correspond to the following statements. Write your answer on the space provided before the number. You are given 5 seconds to answer each question. Are you ready? Let us continue the fun and learning. Here is activity number 2. Number 1. It is an expression of culture because it conveys human knowledge, beliefs, and behaviors. The answer is literature. Number 2. It's basically who you are and what you define yourself as being. The correct answer is identity. For number 3, it is often expressed in books or novels or basically any other piece of literature so that the reader can intrigue themselves and relate to the characters and their emotions. The answer is theme of identity. Number 4. Literature is seen as a or an blank of culture and society, portraying people's ideas and dreams set in certain time and space frameworks in the most creative and imaginary way. The answer in number 4 is reflection. For number 5, this term has a deeply interrelated and a strong relationship with literature. You are correct! The answer is culture. Number 6. This should not be used as a way to resolve conflict. The correct answer is violence. For number 7, after a proper agreement has been reached, it is important to blank one another. The answer is forgive. Number 8. It is a way to resolve a conflict that makes us feel responsible for our actions. The correct answer is nonviolent communication. For number 9, literature can also be lived through different varieties of blank. The correct answer for number 9 is media. For the last number, it is a part of life that we can't avoid. You are correct! The answer in number 10 is conflict. Activity number 3. Can you still remember the passage that we have read earlier in What I Know? Here in activity number 3, you must identify the Filipino customs from the text in What I Know. You must write it inside the parol. You are given a minute to do this task. Ready? Timer starts now. Do you think you got the correct answers? Let's find out! If your answers include pasalubong, hand-me-downs, po and opo, ate and kuya, lechon, buko salad, namamas ko po, and ang pao, you are correct! Great job, grade 7 learners! For the last activity in today's lesson, here is activity number 4. You must answer the following questions about the topics covered in this lesson. Just write the letter that corresponds to your answer. Remember, you only have 5 seconds to answer each item. Ready? Let us start with item number 1. It stands as a voice that expresses values and beliefs and shows how people live as individuals or as a group. Number 2. It is a way to resolve conflict without using violence. Number 3. When literature portrays people's ideas and dreams, it inspires blank. For number 4, it should never be used to resolve conflict. For the last number, number 5, it is a part of our lives that we cannot avoid when we have ideas that differ. And these are the answers in activity number 4. In number 1, we have letter C, literature. Number 2, we have letter D, nonviolent way or nonviolent communication. In number 3, the answer is letter A, social changes. Number 4, we have letter B, violence. And lastly, number 5, we have letter E, conflict.
And that's it for our English hour for today. Did you have fun while learning? Did you see how wonderful it is to study English? Great job, grade 7 learners! Once again, I'm Ma'am Christine, and I'll see you next time only here on your favorite classroom, brought to you by 3D TV. Goodbye!